Specific prohibitions. In this video we will consider 4 of the specific prohibitions contained within the Australian consumer law: false representations, bait advertising, inertia selling, and pyramid schemes. According to the Australian consumer law, a business must not make a false representation or a false statement that its goods are of a particular standard, quality, value, grade, composition, style or model, or have had a particular history or particular previous use, that its goods are new, that it has a sponsorship, approval or affiliation it does not have, with respect to the price of its goods or services, concerning the availability of facilities for the repair of its goods or of spare parts for its goods, concerning the place of origin of its goods, for example claiming that the goods are made in Australia when in fact they are from overseas, or concerning the existence, exclusion or effect of any condition, warranty, guarantee, right or remedy. The second type of specific prohibition is of bait advertising. Section 35 of the Australian Consumer Law prohibits a business from engaging in bait advertising. Bait advertising is the practice of advertising a product at an extraordinarily low price. But when the consumer visits the business premises to purchase the extremely cheap product, they are told either that the product is no longer available or it has sold out very, very quickly, but their attention is then redirected to other items that are for sale. The extremely cheap product was nothing more than bait used to attract customers to the shop in order to get them to purchase other products. A business engages in bait advertising when it advertises a product at a price that is likely to attract buyers to its premises when it knows or should know that it is likely to run out of stock very quickly. It's acceptable for a business to advertise a product at a cheap price when it only has a few items in stock if it makes it clear that there are only a few items in stock. But when a business advertises a product generally at a very low price, knowing that it's either likely to run out very, very quickly or that it in fact has none of these items in stock at the relevant premises, will be found to have engaged in bait advertisement and to have contravened the Australian consumer law. The third type of specific prohibition relates to inertia selling. Inertia selling is sending an unsolicited product to a person and then pressuring the person to pay for that product. So a business might send a consumer a product without the consumer asking for it, then contact the consumer to tell them that they are now obliged to pay for that product. Section 40 of the Australian Consumer Law specifically states that a business must not claim a right to payment unless it reasonably believes that it in fact has a right to payment. If a business has sent an unsolicited product to a person, the person does not have to pay for it and is not liable for the loss of or damage to the product unless the loss or damage results from a willful and unlawful act. And interestingly, after the expiry of a certain period, the product becomes the property of the person free of charge. Very simply, if the consumer has been sent an unsolicited product, they could contact the business that supplied the product and tell them that they have to come and collect it, and if they have not collected it within 1 month, then the product becomes the property of the consumer free of charge. Alternatively, the consumer can simply wait 3 months without doing anything, and if the business has not come and collected the product within the 3-month period, once again that product becomes the property of the consumer free of charge. The final specific prohibition is in relation to pyramid schemes. A pyramid scheme is a type of product distribution scheme whereby a participant makes a profit or receives a commission for the sale of each product to a buyer, but the participant is also rewarded for the introduction of other participants to the scheme, usually by receiving a commission for each new participant. So for example, I might set up a scheme and I convince 5 of you to join me as my sales team. You then convince 5 of your friends to join the scheme, and each of your friends convinces 5 of their friends to join the scheme. Very quickly there are a large number of people working within my scheme. Now the arrangement might be that it costs you $5,000 to join the scheme, but for each new participant that you get to join, you will receive $1,000. So when 5 of you join my scheme, you each pay me $5,000 and I get $25,000. Now when you go off and convince 5 of your friends to join the scheme, you will get $1,000 from each of your friends, and that means that if you've had 5 friends join the scheme, you get your $5,000 back. So you are no longer out of pocket, and of course I get the other $4,000 for each of your friends. So with 25 new friends joining, I get $100,000. Then if each of your friends convinces 5 other people to join, they too will get $1,000 times 5 in their pocket, so they're now their $5,000 has now been repaid, so they're no longer out of pocket, and of course I will get the other $4,000 for each of the 125 people that have joined the scheme, so I will get $500,000. So it looks like it's a scheme whereby nobody is out of pocket as long as they're able to convince at least 5 more people to join the scheme after them. The problem, of course, is that we will very quickly run out of people willing to join the scheme, which means that the lower tiers of the pyramid will not get their $5,000 back. It's at that point that they will, of course, realize they have to actually sell the product in order to make any money back, and it's usually at that point that they realize that the product isn't a terribly good product and that they're unlikely to be able to sell enough of them to get their original investment back. So a pyramid scheme is really a way to redirect money from the lower tiers up to the people at the top levels. Pyramid schemes are particularly destructive because not only do they result in large numbers of people being ripped off because they're unable to recover their initial investment, but because it's friends inviting friends to join the scheme, when a pyramid scheme collapses, relationships are often irrevocably damaged. Pyramid schemes are, of course, illegal. A business is prohibited from participating in or inducing others to participate in a pyramid scheme. There are, of course, legitimate distribution schemes that do allow rewards to be paid to people who encourage others to join the distribution scheme. The rule of thumb is to look at, firstly, the way in which the scheme is being promoted. If the emphasis is upon the quality of the product and the amount of money that can be made from selling the product, then it's probably a legitimate scheme. But if the principal emphasis is upon the amount of money that can be made by persuading other people to join the scheme, and the product itself is secondary, then that would indicate that it is more likely to be an illegal pyramid scheme. The other thing to look for is the number of products involved in the scheme. If there is a wide range of products, then it's more likely to be legitimate, but if there is only a single product that is being sold, then it is more likely to be illegitimate and illegal.